Sinister.
Purchase your tracks today. Purchase your tracks today. Purchase your tracks today.
What?
Sinister.
Somebody in there.
Purchase your tracks today. Purchase your tracks today.
Sinister. Sinister.
Purchase your tracks today. Purchase your tracks today.
Sinister. Sinister.
Purchase your tracks today.
You got $100? You got if you got $100, if you got $100, then you
Purchase your tracks today.
yeah. That's your own shit.
Purchase your tracks today. Purchase your tracks today.
Sinister.
Purchase your tracks today.
Sinister. Sinister.
Purchase your tracks today.
Sinister.
Purchase your tracks today. Purchase your tracks today. Purchase your tracks today. tracks today. Purchase your 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 tracks today.
Sinister. Sinister.
Purchase your tracks today.
Sinister.
Purchase your tracks today.
Yeah. Yeah.
Purchase your tracks today. Purchase all tracks today. Purchase all tracks today. Purchase all tracks today.
Sinister.
Purchase all tracks today. Purchase your tracks today. Purchase your tracks today. Purchase your tracks today.
So why isn't it called tusk paste?
All right, I'll call it tusk paste.
Because it's hard to pronounce. Tusk paste.
Yeah, you gotta be careful.
Yes. Articulate. All right, let's get to my stuff, buddy, because we just gave it a nice old glass nice A. Good slice of lemon in there today. Get ready to sweat because we have the excessive heat warning.
It's gonna be a slow Monday as usual. It's gonna be a slow Monday as usual, yo.
The temperature's 85. We think we'll get into the upper 90s today, and 93 for a high temperature at the shore. So it's one of those days on the sand when you're at the shore. When I call it ooch, ouch, ooch, ouch, ooch, ouch. You're trying to, walk on the sand with bare feet, and it isn't fun.
Tom, with this scoop here, and the tweets, the NFL's latest proposal, the players includes just one preseason game. According to Tom, players still want no preseason games and a longer acclimation period, but a sign the sides are working and getting closer to a plan for 2020. Under the NFL's proposal, the one preseason game will be played in what normally is the third preseason week, the week of August 27th. That provide an extra week of preparation, though not the full 21 days of strength and conditioning players want. There's a full expectation Chiefs and Texans rookies will report to the facility as mandated by the CBA. And as Tom was telling us, Schrags, the first 2 days, it sounds like, is going to be COVID-19 testing. But I know a lot of people have been reaching out to you, wondering what's going on. And so far, that's the latest. Still some other things, though, to work out.
Yeah, Will, thank you. And that's why you watch the NFL Network. We're wall-to-wall 24/7 with news and the latest as we get it, both from the player side and from the league side. We talk a lot on the show about Patrick Mahomes, and we love Tom Brady. And, of course, we're excited to see Lamar Jackson, the MVP from last season. But I wanted to spend just a little bit of time here on July 20th providing you with a list of the real MVPs of the 2020 season. It's a list of three. Number three, let's start with the strength and conditioning coaches in each one of the NFL buildings. You got to understand now, these players have not been in the building, many of them, since December. So they've been on their own, not only working out, but getting their body right. Usually these players would be allowed back in April, and then back in June, and then now back in July. We're talking about a solid 7 to 8 month lag in time with these players. Now, when you look at the way the locker room is set up, then you go to the fitness room, there are so many new COVID protocols these strength and conditioning coaches now have to tend to. And it is their job to make sure that this thing is not only clean and COVID approved, but also that the players who haven't played actual football in 8 months are not going to pop an Achilles, tear an ACL. The strength and conditioning staffs over the next 2 weeks are going the ICO. The ICO is the person you go to for answers, and who also is overlooking all of this stuff. Do you know there's a room in every facility called the COVID-19 room? Just in case someone does test positive, they go to that room. They are given usually a knapsack or something that they can then take home, but they are then told what they have to tell their family, who they have to talk with. And guess what? There's also going to be devices on players that will be tracing who they come in contact with. The ICO is the person who is in charge of overseeing all of this. Mostly it's internal medicine people, but it's also the head trainers. And in that case, there are a lot of people who are going to be going above and beyond this season, the usual call of duty. And the last group that I think are going to be just true miracle men and women this year, the head trainers of every NFL team. You know these guys and gals as the ones who come on the field and will check if someone hurts their ankle. But right there, that's Rick Buckholder right there. Buckholder, he's the VP of Sports Medicine and Performance. The Rams, of course, that's Reggie Scott, who's their Director of Sports medicine and performance. There's Ronnie Barnes who with the Giants, and Sean O'Hara knows him. He's been around the Giants forever. Now their job is not only twofold, but threefold, fourfold. Athletic trainers in these buildings have to be the eyes and ears of not only the players, but now the coaches, the staff members. Look, we've got coaches, I can go through the names, who are in their 60s. We've got coaches who are nearing 70. We've got assistant coaches. There are assistant coaches in the league who are 80. So the head trainer now has to not only look after the player and his Achilles and his ACL, but the health and well-being of their actual building as a whole. I think it's going to be a fascinating year in the NFL on so many levels. And there are some real MVPs here that are going to have to get some recognition. Let's give the full screen. Here are the three names here: head trainers, infection control officers, and your strength and conditioning coaches. Sean O'Hara, we were talking off camera just about the school situation and what each state is going to be doing about schools. Now we go into 32 different NFL buildings, many of which will have different policies and many of which will have different personnel in the building. Sean, I give you those three groups. What goes through your head when you see head trainers, the ICO, and of course the strength and conditioning coach?
Yeah, Peter, you used the word fascinating for this season and this training camp off season, so to speak. I think the first word comes to mind is exhausting. If you're a head trainer or if you're in charge of medical operations for any team. Listen, I tell players this all the time, young players, rookies coming in, first and second year players, look, get to know your trainers and become friends with them, because they will save your life, potentially. They will save your career. They are the ones that are always taking care of you. And it couldn't have been truer for me. You showed a great picture of Ronnie Barnes there with Steve Kennelly, the trainer for the Giants, Dr. Scott Rodeo, one of the team doctors, and Lee Weiss. Those guys are the ones that hold the team together. And Ronnie Barnes, he saved my life. I contracted staph, and he's the one that sent me to HSS in the city to get me evaluated, and they put me on IV antibiotics for like 5 days in a row. Without that, things could have gotten really, really bad. So Ronnie Barnes, definitely been a pioneer. He's the vice president of medical with the Giants. Those are the guys that usually are kind of in a battle between the head coaches and the strength coaches, because the strength coaches are trying to get these guys to work out and train, and the head coaches are trying to get them to practice, and the trainer is always caught in the middle, and he's saying, guys, look, I need them to be able to do both. But now how do you do that given all these new parameters? So absolutely, the head trainers, without a doubt. You mentioned Rick Burkholder. He's a great dude. These people care about their players. It's going to be even more paramount. And I know that they're already exhausted just trying to figure out, how they can do what. But also to keep this in mind, normally it's a 53-man roster. In training camp, you've got 85 guys. So you've got even more bodies in less space.
Yeah, Sean. I mean, these are the true MVPs of the 2020 season. Great job, Peter. I mean, when you talk about strength and conditioning coaches, they already have less time with the players than they used to have in previous CBAs. And so they're already fighting an uphill battle, trying to get guys in, not knowing how guys are training in the offseason. Then you look at this infection control officer. And my question is, and Peter, I don't even know if you know the answer to this, is how much power are these guys going to actually have? Will they be sitting in coaches' meetings, making decisions on players, whether players are going to be active for games or whether active for practice? Will they be involved in designing practice plans and all of those types of things? I wonder how much power the infection control officers have. And Sean, you put it together beautifully when you talk about head trainers. I had a head trainer out there in San Francisco with Jeff Ferguson, saved my life also from staph infection and also from heat exhaustion. So these are the true MVPs on every staff almost every single year, but especially this year with the COVID-19 pandemic.
I just think the whole thing's fascinating, guys. I mean, as you guys bring up staff and we talk about pink eye and the flu, when it moves through these locker rooms, it is sort of like a wildfire. And just the contingency plans you have to have in place, and for this amount of guys on a roster, I mean, we've seen baseball start going, we've seen, basketball get going, but they're not dealing with the sort of numbers that we're dealing with here. And then to your point, Schrager, we were talking about this earlier. Everyone assumes every one of these guys has the bank account of a Patrick Mahomes or a Drew Brees or a Carson Wentz, and they simply don't. So how much access have these guys actually had to trainers and getting themselves conditioned the right way? And in some cases, even just a home gym in states that the gyms aren't open. And we're talking about a situation where salons are getting shut down and gyms again, and we're talking about putting 85 guys on a football field. And what does that look like? So I think the whole thing's fascinating. I think a lot of this just comes to, they want to play. It's going to come down to a lot of, I think, managing yourself, personal accountability and responsibility. But this has been fascinating. 100-year event that we have certainly not seen in our lifetimes. Well, a 49ers legend says there's a lack of trust in San Fran, guys. I guess the question we're asking, Ben, is Kyle Shanahan fully confident in his guy, Jimmy G? We'll kick it around and talk about it coming up.
This season on NFL Game Pass Film Session, Brian Baldinger and Kurt Warner sit down with the game's best players.
We're basically working inside out. Quarterbacks look at the safeties.
They'll teach you the techniques they use to win their matchups.
It's just all about creativity in your route running.
Explain the concepts discussed in the film room.
You don't have to worry. You can just play aggressive.
And provide insight you can't get anywhere else.
No false movements, no crossovers. Just go.
NFL Game Pass Film Session.
Devin, did you know Geico is now offering an extra 15% credit on car and motorcycle policies?
Okay.
That's 15% on top of what Geico could already save you. So what are you waiting for? DJ Khaled to be your motivational coach?
Yo, Devin, remember to brush in a circle motion.
Thank you, DJ Khaled.
Tiny circles, Devin. Do another one. Another one.
Is this good?
Put in that work, Devin. Don't give up.
Geico. Save an extra 15% when you switch by October 7th.
It's a war zone out there, and your car's paint gets attacked every day by acid rain, damaging rocks, scorching sun, leaving your paint dull and faded. Now you can clean, shine, and protect with Shine Armor, the amazing new car polish that's made with super nano ceramic, guaranteed to be the greatest shine and protection you've ever used. Just spray it on to restore your car's finish with ease. It's not a wax, but a high-tech ceramic shield that instantly repels dirt and debris. Nothing sticks, and water just dances right off. Even a fried egg won't stick. Amazing. No matter where you drive, everything cleans up just like that. Shine Armor with nano ceramic is made in the USA, and it's not just a little better, it's a lot better, making all other polishes obsolete. The secret? Our exclusive ceramic formula that fills in micro cracks and crevices to create an ultra-durable protective barrier against harsh elements. Even fire can't break the protection. And nuts and bolts just bounce off without a scratch. Bumpers, trim, mirrors, glass, and more. You'll get a beautiful showroom shine with Shine Armor. Professional ceramic finishes can cost you thousands, but act now and get Shine Armor for only $19.99. But wait, we'll also send you 2 premium microfiber towels for a perfect, easy application in just minutes. Absolutely free. And we're not done. We'll double this offer and send you a second set. That's enough Shine Armor for your cars, trucks, boats, RVs, and more. Just pay a separate fee, and we'll ship it to you free. That's 2 bottles of Shine Armor, 4 microfiber towels, and free shipping. But you have to call or click now. To order, call 1-800-495-5054 or go online at buyshinearmor.com. Don't delay. Call 1-800-495-5054 or go online at buyshinearmor.com. Order now.
Tonight on NFL Total Access, Derrick Henry was the king in 2019. Who reigns in 2020? Bold running back predictions. And the AFC players about to make the jump from uncertain to unstoppable. Tonight, 7 Eastern.
Welcome again to the Magic Show. Like a video game. I do believe it on TV. Touchdown strike by the NFL MVP. He's got it in the end zone. Touchdown. Patrick Mahomes runs it in. He's a beautiful settling torch. A remarkable and dramatic scramble. That was amazing.
Nice job on that video there, right? The last time I actually played a video game, I think, was Duck Hunt, Mario Brothers, and Mortal Kombat. So when I watch these Madden NFL 21 rankings come out, I see how upset, of course, some of the players get. And how about this one? They came out last week. Patrick Mahomes had an overall rating of 99. His throw power, though, only 97. Josh Allen, however, received a 99 in the throw power. And, of course, Mahomes had something, course, tongue-in-cheek, but here's what he said, quote, "Dude, obviously Josh has an extremely strong arm, but I've yet to see someone have a stronger arm than me. So maybe we can line up. I know we talked about maybe having a throw off, and then we can really prove who really has the strongest arm. I have the ultimate belief in myself. I mean, he does have a strong arm, but if I put it out there like 80, 85 yards, if he beats that, he beats it. All right, so Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, they meet on the field in week 6 when Buffalo hosts Kansas City for Thursday Night Football. That is going to be a good one. However, we may be lucky enough to see a face-off before the season actually starts. So, guys, if this were to take place, which QB do you think would win a distance throwing competition? Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen? Peter, we'll start with you.
Okay, I love everything about this. I've been starved for football. I've been starved for competition. I'm watching the MTV Challenge and watching Johnny Bananas, and that is what my sports have been this whole entire summer. So I would love this and have a socially distanced arm challenge where they're throwing their furthest. And I got to go Mahomes. I'm sorry. Josh Allen has a huge cannon. He's got one of the biggest arms the league has ever seen. But I feel like Mahomes, with the pressure of having to deliver, is not going to fail. I don't know if Josh Allen has been in that big moment. Yeah, I'm talking clutch gene, guys. It's Monday morning on July 20th, and I'm just saying if you were to put the bright lights on, I'm taking Mahomes over Josh Allen. I haven't seen Patrick Mahomes crumble. Just the pure arm strength. Mahomes, big spot over Josh Allen. Who you guys have?
Dregs, I'm with you with Mahomes. I'll tell you what, everybody's hungry for some football. We'd love to see this. You know, they used to do something like this at the Pro Bowl. They would have the quarterback competition. Bring it back. You're fine. You want no preseason games? How about you have this as a contest? Bring in all the quarterbacks and let's just do a skills combination instead of the preseason games. I'd watch that, but I'm with you. I'll take Mahomes, and here's why. When you look at these quarterback throwing challenges, it's kind of like the home run derby, right? Well, when you have somebody that has a sweet swing, just pure, natural, I mean, it's a beauty to watch. They can do it over and over again. That's what Mahomes has. Josh Allen, no doubt, has a big arm, and he can throw it a country mile for sure. But Mahomes has got that sweet little whip action, and I bet on Mahomes all day long.
Guys, it seems like you guys don't understand.
In pursuit to our goal of a Super Bowl. All right, so with that, we say hello for the first time to Maurice Jones-Drew and Willie McGinnis. Then, guys, let's start right there with Dak Prescott, who seemingly feels good about where he is playing on that one-year, $31.4 million franchise tender, and now getting to play in this new Mike McCarthy offense here. And MJD, I'll start with you. What do you expect from Dak Prescott on the field this year?
Well, Red, I think year one, you expected the numbers, right? Everyone was trying to prove themselves, figure each other out. Dak threw for a ton of numbers, but the wins weren't there, only 8. I think now it's more about winning and understanding how to win for OC, Kellen Moore, and obviously Mike McCarthy, but also Dak Prescott, getting back to those 13 wins he did his rookie year, and then getting over the playoff hump that they have, that divisional round, finding a way to get to that NFC Championship game and possibly bring in a Super Bowl to the Dallas Cowboys. And the way you do that is by eliminating distractions. And I love the way Dak came out right away and said, listen, I'm a Cowboy. I'm happy. I can't wait to get to work. Sometimes those contract situations, as we all know, can kind of flow into the season. I don't think it happens here for Dak.
And MJD, I agree. But the reason why they didn't have a lot of wins wasn't solely dependent on Dak. They had a lot of holes on their team. Defensive side of the ball wasn't consistent in a lot of areas. But when you talk about Dak Prescott and what he did last year, he showed, especially in the first quarter, when they seem to forget about the running game, he showed that he can put this team on his back, that he can create the numbers, he can throw the ball down the football field, his passing. There's a lot of things that Dak can bring to the table. You see one of them right here, getting out of the pocket, those sprint plays, the RPOs, using his feet to make big plays in the read option game. They can use Dak in a lot of different ways. He threw the ball for almost 5,000 yards. He had a lot of touchdowns. They were playing from behind. He proved to everybody that he can be a franchise quarterback and he can throw the ball from the pocket. I think they have to display going forward, especially with the history of Mike McCarthy, that they can continue to have balance. I don't want this to be a pass-happy offense because they drafted CeeDee Lamb. We know what Amari Cooper can do and Michael Gallup. You need balance. The top teams that were in the playoffs last year, they all ran the ball well, and they're the top of the league at running the football. So Dak has an opportunity now to go out and get better in Mike McCarthy's offense. We know that he can throw the football. We know he can do from the
early as Monday. However, the NFL and NFLPA are continuing to hash out COVID-19 protocols. NFL players are responding on social media. Here's what Russell Wilson had to say. He says, "I'm concerned. My wife is pregnant. NFL training camp is about to start, and there's still no clear plan on player health and family safety. We want to play football, but we also want to protect our loved ones." NFLPA President J.C. Tretter added, "What you're seeing today is our guys standing up for each other and for the work their union leadership has done to keep everyone as safe as possible. The NFL needs to listen to our union and adopt the experts' recommendations." The NFL saying in part in a recent statement, "We will continue to implement the health and safety protocols developed jointly with the NFLPA and based on the advice of leading medical experts, including review by the CDC. We will address additional issues in a cooperative way."
The playmakers, the showstoppers, the human highlight reels. These are the best in the game as voted on by the players themselves. The top 100 players of 2020, premiering July 26th, only on NFL Network. Back with you on NFL Total Access. Certainly been a busy 8 days for Patrick Mahomes. Last Monday, he signed the largest contract in the history of sports. Today he's on the cover of GQ as the new leader of the NFL. And over the weekend, his teammate Travis Kelce surprising him with the news that he was the first member of Madden 21's exclusive 99 Club. The small handful of players who were rated 99 overall in the upcoming video game, the Panthers' Christian McCaffrey was also announced as part of that club today. By the way, can Mahomes and the Chiefs be stopped? There's Michael Robinson, the players-only crew, looking into Kansas City.
What's up, guys? This is Players Only. I'm here with David Carr and D'Angelo Hall. D-Hall, I'm going to start this one off with you, okay? We know Patrick Mahomes just got the big payday, all right? Biggest contract probably in sports history, okay? Now we're going to talk about the Chiefs. What's the biggest obstacle standing between the Chiefs and another Super Bowl title?
Oh, man, when you look at their schedule, man, what jumps off, you got the Saints, you got the Patriots, you got the Bills, you got the Texans, you got the Ravens, you got all these great teams with really good quarterbacks and tremendous players. And so you immediately want to say it's the opponents, right? But for me, it's the expectations, right? It's going from being the hunter to the hunted. It's that $500 million looming in front of you. As a former corner in this league, and Rob, I tell you what, anytime I got to see Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, any of these dudes, I was trying to bring my A game. So you best believe every dude in this league, every team, they're gonna want to see them. They're gonna want to see them Chiefs. They're gonna want to see if Pat Mahomes is really worth what they say he's worth. And you're gonna get every continually.
Now, Steve Young, guys, describes this as a lack of trust. Do you think that there's a lack of trust here? I always think it's interesting when, especially a guy like that, so close to the organization, sort of throws it out there. It makes you wonder if he's heard it from somewhere.
Yeah, Jane, you're good. You know, it's so true because here's Steve Young. He's open arms, welcomed into that facility, probably speaking with Kyle Shanahan at some point, speaking with the general manager, and certainly speaking with ownership. So you think, well, wow, Steve Young comes out on a limb and says that. Where does that come from? And yet, everyone I speak to, there's still a lot of love for Jimmy Garoppolo and a lot of trust. And it goes back to two games for me that don't get a lot of spotlight. Yeah, we know what happened in the Super Bowl. And yeah, we know he didn't throw a lot in an NFC Championship win. But they go down to New Orleans in a game that had everything going on in the middle of a stretch where they were playing Seattle, Baltimore, and the Saints. Jimmy Garoppolo had to take his team the length of the field, and he did it. And he went down there on a 90-yard drive, took his team all the way down. They get the Robbie Gould field goal, and it's good. And then you go to Seattle, Week 17. You go into a house of horrors for the 49ers, a place they never win, and it's Garoppolo who gets them not only in scoring position, but is able to put them into the end zone in a must-win game that gave them home field advantage throughout the NFC playoffs. So, yeah, it's easy to cherry-pick a pass to Emmanuel Sanders. It's easy to say, well, the game plan was for Mostert to run in the NFC Championship game, not for Garoppolo to throw. Clearly, Kyle Shanahan doesn't trust him. I don't see it that way. I see it as trusts him just fine. And in their biggest moments in the regular season, it was Jimmy Garoppolo's arm that got the job done.
Well, just like there's two T's in trust, I think there's two types of trust when you look at coaches and quarterbacks. And it's, do I trust that you know what you're going to do in this situation and you know the offense, you know how to handle it? And there's also the trust that you could go out and actually do it. And I think that's where there may be a little bit of a, I know Jimmy Garoppolo knows what to do. I know he knows where to go with the football. Do I 100% trust that he can do it? I think Jimmy has shown that he can make those throws. But let's be honest. The throw that has haunted Jimmy G and will continue to haunt him is that overthrow in the Super Bowl. It's a completely different narrative about Jimmy G and about Emmanuel Sanders and the 49ers right now if they make that throw. This throw right here, where he just airmails it a little bit. Now, I go back to that game, week 14, Shregs, that you were talking about against the Saints. He made the same exact throw, same exact play, it looked like, and he underthrew him. Emmanuel Sanders made a great play and scored a touchdown, but maybe that was in his mind. But I look at the relationship aspect. Go back to Kyle Shanahan in Atlanta, his relationship with Matt Ryan. They were finishing each other's sentences. They were like stepbrothers. They wanted to go do karate in the garage. They were building bunk beds. That's the type of relationship I think he has with Jimmy G. Now Jimmy G just has to find a way to go out and prove it and make that big-time throw.
Yeah, I don't think that there's a trust issue. I still think that there may be concerns whether Jimmy G can get through adverse situations and play better on the backside of it. But that's why you pay your quarterback to make those throws, Sean, that you just detailed in the Super Bowl. He gets paid over $100 million to complete those passes. If you talk about trust, I think Kyle Shanahan may have a lack of trust in the run game. He has trust in the run game during the regular season and during the NFC Championship game. But when it gets into the biggest moments of the fourth quarter of the biggest games of your life, talking about the Super Bowl, he stopped running the football. So I think Kyle Shanahan may have a lack of trust in the run game in big moments.
All right. Well, hopefully we're actually talking about football games this season. It certainly looks like that's the case. We've been talking about it all morning, and we've even had some questions pop up. Tom Pelissero joining us here coming up to answer some of those as we continue here on Good Morning Football.
The NFL season is 17 weeks, 32 teams, 256 games, plus preseason and playoffs. That's over 50,000 plays. Like this one, each generating thousands of data points that can help the NFL understand player health and safety like never before. With Amazon Web Services technology, we'll simulate in-game scenarios millions of times to pinpoint where and how we can advance player safety. And that's building a better game.
Oh no, you hate coming home to a dark house, and you're uptight about noises outside in the night. Outdoor lighting systems cost a fortune, and leaving lights on all night drives utility bills out of sight. You need the Bell & Howell Bionic Spotlight, the outdoor motion sensor light that is motion activated, so it automatically turns on the instant motion is detected and turns off when the motion stops. Bionic Spotlight is solar powered, so there's no expensive wiring or batteries to change. Simply place it where the solar panel can soak up the sun, and you're done. The panel collects the sun's energy to charge all day, so it has the power to provide light when and where you need it all night. Bionic Spotlight looks just like a professional security camera that is actually a high-tech security light with smart motion sensing technology. Look, the instant the motion sensor detects movement, Bionic Spotlight triggers 8 high-intensity LED lights that shower the entire area with light, covering over 600 square feet. The light stays on for as long as the motion continues, and then shuts off 30 seconds after it stops, so there's no more arriving home to a dark house. Illuminate walkways and stairwells for visitors and guests. Light up your garden at night or the yard for kids and pets. Add Bionic Spotlight to your sports court and to help secure outbuildings and storage sheds. So you can spend hundreds of dollars on an outdoor lighting system, or you can save hundreds of dollars and get the motion-activated Bionic Spotlight for just $19.95 with free shipping. Bionic Spotlight is year-round outdoor durable and weather-resistant and backed by our 5-year warranty. And if it fails for any reason, return it for a full refund. But wait, if you order right now, you can double the offer and get a second Bionic Spotlight. Just pay a separate fee. You get it all. 2 Bionic Spotlights backed by our 5-year warranty for one low-value price. I'll ask about the contractor's discount on the complete set.
Usually what I do
interesting then. And then I went down.
Yeah. 10 o'clock. This is what I'm going to be up to. That sounds good.
You get like a half a sense of that. You're not going all in.
What, parade?
Yeah.
I can start if you want to while we do the truck.
Yeah. And we'll try to guess what you're going to do.
That's a big piece. And then we'll fix my sliding real quick. Okay, that's always good too. Makes your brain hurt. As he starts to, Alan Wentworth, right? She's so funny. I love her. She's also married to the George Stephanopoulos.
My bad.
Or you shutting me out and you really don't care about me or what I'm saying, then therefore I just match your energy. And it wasn't until I matched the energy that they wanted to.
Do you have any children?
I have 2.
Okay. And on a scale of 1 to 10, what would most people say you look like?
No, Wakari, we ain't doing that. You promoting your live stream and another person live stream. Oh my God. Don't do that shit no more, man. How did I know? How did I know you was gonna promote your? I'm supposed to block you right now, for real, for real. But I'm gonna pretend you ain't do that. I'm gonna pretend you ain't drop your live stream link in my chat, yo. Real shit. I'm gonna pretend you didn't just do that shit. Like, the fuck. Don't do it again, or I'm blocking you. Damn. Francesca Baresi. Yeah, we not promoting people live streams and other people live streams. That is just wrong. What the hell? It's cool.
Wish. Okay, let me continue. It says, as writer Roxanne Gay summed it up, she says, it is impossible to take you seriously with regards to social justice or anything when you post anti-Semitic imagery. What the F are you doing? He says, shame on the Hollywood Reporter who obviously gave my brother Kareem 30 pieces of silver to cut us down without even a phone call. So the 30 pieces of silver in the Bible is often referred to Judas betraying Jesus in that same amount for compensation. Cannon on Wednesday publicly apologized for his anti-Semitic comments on his podcast, just one day after he was dropped from Viacom CBS. While interviewing former Public Enemy member Professor Griff on the earlier episode of the show. Now, Cannon's class. Cannon says Semitic people are black people. That's anti-Semitic to them, yes, because you say that the Semitic people are black people. Now listen, these people know we're the Jews. They know this. They know we're the 12 tribes. They absolutely know this. Many of them have admitted it. You can find it online. The thing I find so interesting is that they get upset and mad and bothered and butthurt when black people say anything about it, but when their own people say it, they don't say anything. They don't say a word. And how come all of these black men are being called out? But Chelsea Handler, the white woman who said some of the same things, they're not saying anything about her. Notice that. Now, you may have heard her name in this article, but you haven't heard her name all over the news, the lamestream media. But she said the same thing. And as I told you before, when white people say these things about them, the Mayo Clinic, they don't say anything. They just point the finger at black people. And here's the thing. If they want to call somebody anti-Semitic, why aren't they going after the racist hate group known as the neo-Nazis, who clearly don't like the Orthodox community? This is true. Why aren't they saying anything about them? You know why they're not saying anything about them? Because no matter what, even if they have differences, disputes, or whatever, they are still on code. You see, the Mayo Clinic, they stay on code. This is what they do. This is what they do. Now they go on to repeat what Nick said. He says, you can't be anti-Semitic when you are the Semitic people. We are the same when we are the same people they want to be. That's our birthrights. Cannon continued by saying black people were the true Hebrews. Viacom issued this statement on Tuesday when announcing they were dropping Cannon. They said, while we support ongoing education and dialogue in the fight against bigotry, we are deeply troubled that Nick has failed to acknowledge and apologize for perpetuating anti-Semitism, and we are terminating our relationship with him. Let me tell you something. Let's just say this, people. Even if what Nick said was not true, even if he made a mistake, he was uninformed or whatever, even if black people are not the true Hebrews, even if we were not, why would that be anti-Semitic? I'm just saying. Why would that be anti-Semitic? And especially in comparison to the things they've said about us. One of their own chief rabbis calling us monkeys. No one asked him to come out and apologize. No one said anything about that. And just to prove everyone's points, all of the people that are labeling as anti-Semitic, just look at how all of them are being demonized now. Look at how all of them are being put on blast and thrown under the bus. Look how they make every black person who speaks against them or says something contrary to their opinion, how they twist their arm and literally force them against their wishes and best interest to apologize. Now those are the actions of oppressors. This is who they are. But let me go on, because I could go on all day about the Orthodox community, because clearly we all know by now that, yes, indeed, they are responsible for the oppression of black people. This is what we know. So meanwhile, a police officer beat up an 18-year-old black protester and actually knocked out her teeth. So let's talk about that. So ridiculous. This happened in Chicago. Okay, it says an 18-year-old activist who had just spoken to a crowd protesting the Christopher Columbus statue in Grant Park had several teeth knocked out by a Chicago police officer Friday evening, according to a video and multiple elected officials. An outraged Alderman Jeanette Taylor said Miracle Boyd, age 18, of the group Good Kids Mad City, was assaulted by a police officer during the tense Friday night protest, where police pepper sprayed protesters trying to tear down a towering, nearly 90-year-old statue of Columbus. Taylor, who knows Boyd, said the rising young activist was injured by police. Boyd was filming the encounter, in which she argued with officers away from the Columbus statue. At the end of her recording, her phone appears to be knocked away. A second video posted to Twitter from someone else who was filming from across the street shows an officer wearing shorts and a bike helmet swinging his left hand at her. She flees after he swings. This is what someone tweeted. They said, at Chicago Mayor, we now have the video of Miracle being sucker punched by Chicago Police Department. They don't keep us safe while they're out here attacking us in 2020. CPS graduates downtown. Children were being shot tonight. A pregnant woman was shot and a 14 and 15-year-old. You need to defund, #defund the Chicago Police Department now. Alderman Taylor said watching the video of the attack horrified her. Taylor's daughter is good friends with Boyd. She says, I'm going to tell you right now, if this was my kid and Miracle is one of mine, I would burn this city to the ground, Taylor said. You beat people up over a statue. You rough them up over a statue. They're so busy protecting white supremacy. They're so busy protecting a Christopher Columbus statue that he beat her. Now, on Sunday, Boyd told Block Club she had been trying to assist a protester that she had seen who was being arrested when two officers approached her. One had dark gray facial hair and sunglasses. He walked up to me and smacked me, Boyd said. I didn't know if the phone hit me in the mouth. I don't know if his hand hit me in the mouth. But the way that I was recording, I think he tried to smack the phone in my hand and hit me at the same time. And the phone hit me in the mouth and it knocked my tooth out and I was bleeding. Good Kids Mad City tweeted in the aftermath showing Boyd suffered multiple injuries to her face and chipped teeth. They later tweeted the video footage that showed a police officer beating Boyd in the face. Here is the young woman right here, 18 years old, and look at what he did to her teeth. Look at that. If that was my child, I'm not even going to say what I would do. I'm not even going to say. Now, Essence Gatherite, a 16-year-old member of Chicago Freedom School's Youth Leadership Board, who was at the protest, also said Boyd spoke at the rally earlier that night. Gatherite helped get Boyd medical attention at the Freedom School after she was hit. She says her teeth came out. It was really bad. She was bleeding. She kept crying and sobbing. It was a really messed up situation. We were able to walk her and others to the school and provide her with support and make sure she got home safe. Officer Taylor said Boyd is a good kid, a CPS graduate. He has helped raise money. I don't care if you become the president, the mayor, the garbage man, you are not exempt from this country and what its racist ass people will do to you, Taylor said. Through tears, Taylor said she was tired. How many more times are we going to go through this? State Senator Robert Peters posted a photo of Boyd's injuries, saying he had just offered her an internship last week because she was fighting gun violence every day. She is just over 5 feet, 100 pounds. Tonight, a police officer beat her, broke her teeth, Peters tweeted. I am so angry and disgusted. Coffee Ademola, an organizer with Black Lives Matter Chicago, also tweeted about the case Friday, saying, "Don't let the mayor or city council sleep until we get justice. We demand justice." Boyd is a recent graduate of Sarah E. Goodstem Academy in Ashbourne. So let me tell you something. First of all, I find this all so bothersome and crazy because here's the thing. According to their constitution, aren't people allowed to assemble? Aren't people allowed to protest? Why are they always attacking protesters who are in fact protesting against injustices on Black people? Now, they don't do that when it's a group when white armed militia show up at the Capitol, making threats to everybody, bringing guns and ammunition. They curse out the police, threaten the police even. They don't do anything. They don't arrest any of them. And now, pay attention. Trump has sent federal agents over to Portland, Oregon, and they've been getting out of vehicles unmarked and attacking people, arresting them, kidnapping them, not arresting them, kidnapping them literally off the streets and taking them to undisclosed locations to intimidate them into giving them information. Now, I saw a video just last night of a young white guy who was hiding in a bush, afraid for his life, on the phone, sending an encrypted message to his friends. Because he said he just witnessed his other friend be snatched up by the feds and taken to God knows where. Now, when the friend was released, he said that they took him, before they took him, they pulled his beanie down over his face so that he couldn't see where they were going, obviously. Threw him in the back of an SUV, took him to an undisclosed location, and started drilling him for answers, of which he refused to answer because he didn't have an attorney. Now, how is that even legal? And here's the question. If these people are not announcing themselves, if they're not wearing uniforms, because they're supposed to be wearing, I believe, camouflage is what some of them are wearing. Now, let's keep in mind that there are some white non-supremacist groups who like to go out there and join in the melee and riots, you know, and do all kinds of crazy stuff when there's peaceful protesting going on. They like to go out there and start mess. Also, so does Antifa. So how are these people who are out here protesting supposed to know these people jumping out are actually real federal police officers or whatever, federal agents? How are they supposed to know this? How are they not supposed to know they're literally being kidnapped by some crazed lunatic? This is how people get killed. This is how people get killed. This is the same ignorant mess similar to what happened to Breonna Taylor. Let's be specific. Black people were slaves when their Constitution was written, and there was never an intention to abolish slavery. Says Leanna. And absolutely, Leanna. Joara says, you put yourself at risk protesting. Excuse me. You make yourself a soft target for the sake of symbolism. Hashtag in fact. Joshua says, absolutely. At the end of the day, Yes, you make yourself a target when you protest, but that's not the way it's supposed to be. You are supposed to be able to protest without being frightened or afraid that you're going to be shot with rubber bullets in your face and blinded, perhaps killed, or shot in your groin, bursting your scrotum, and thus rendering you infertile. You're not supposed to have to worry about those type of things. You're not supposed to have to worry about that at all, okay? Now, before I go on to my next topic, I want to remind everyone that I am Queen Amadai Shakur. I am one of the contributors to the Fly Nubian Queen Network, and this is your morning wake-up call. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, please make sure that you do so. Please be sure to click the notification bell and click the word all so that you receive your notifications. Don't forget to text Queens to 31996 for occasional offers, notifications, and alerts. And also, if you're looking for information about opening your own business or a side hustle, please be sure that you subscribe to flynubianbusiness.com. If you're looking to generate new revenue for yourself, new stream of income, you have questions about finances, please make sure you subscribe to flynubianmoney.com. And don't forget, the first month is absolutely free. So this is just all so crazy, people. It really is. We really, really need to. Hey, look. This happened in New York. Now, a Brooklyn woman was gunned down when she confronted a man for setting off illegal fireworks on Saturday. Shatavia Walls, who was age 33, was peppered with gunfire July the 7th after asking the man to stop setting off the explosives. She died from her injuries that Friday at a Brookdale hospital. Now, Walls was shot 8 times at 1259 Lorton Avenue in the Pink Houses around 8:30 p.m. Her companion, Kelvin Hernandez, was also struck. Setting off illegal fireworks is a nonviolent act, Brooklyn Borough President Eric Adams said last month, urging residents to go talk to the young people or the people on your block who are using the fireworks, instead of calling 911 or 311. Walls made the apparently fatal mistake of telling the man who remains at large to cease the pyrotechnics. The suspect left only to return with a gun, shooting the doomed Walls and Hernandez as they tried to run away. Adams, who spoke about the fireworks scourge at a news conference last month, insisted that the first line of interaction when it comes to non-criminal behaviors should be between neighbors. If a situation escalates to the point where someone is becoming disrespectful or violent, the police should then be called. The person who shot Ms. Walls must be found and held criminally responsible. My heart goes out to her and her entire family for this horrific incident. Now, gunfire has exploded across the city after the NYPD disbanded its anti-crime unit of plainclothes cops June the 15th, with 3 times as many shootings in the last 2 weeks of the month over the same period that they had in 2019. This is what the police stats show. Let me tell you something what I thought was interesting about this entire article. Now, they told the black people, pay attention. What did they tell the black people to do? They said disputes between neighbors should first be kept between the neighbors. Don't call 911 or 311 unless someone becomes violent. It is for emergency calls only. Now, my question is, why don't they tell that to Karens? When the Karens call 911 for bogus reasons that are never actual emergencies. Haven't I said that months ago? Now, they want to tell the black people don't call unless it's an emergency. Don't dial 911 or 311. Keep it between yourselves. And then this woman gets shot and killed because what? She kept it between herself. and the man, instead of going to the police and calling 911. Had she called 911 and the police came and intervened, likely she would still be alive. But because they told the black people to keep this between you and the neighbors, don't call the police. 911 is for emergency calls only. Do you hear this? But white people, and now let me tell you something. I saw a case once where a Karen called the police on a black man because he was at a softball game watching his child play, and the child was obviously messing up as far as he was concerned. So he was yelling at the child on the field, telling them what to do. Well, the security guard had him removed, and he wouldn't leave the property. He left the field, but he wouldn't leave the property. He said, no, I'm waiting for my kid. Well, then she calls 911. Of course, it's not an emergency. He wasn't being violent. He was just sitting there at his car. When the police arrived and they start questioning him, and he's telling them, I have a right to be here. I haven't done anything. I'm not trespassing, whatever. And she shouldn't even have called the police because this clearly is an emergency. You know what the white cop told him? He told him she can call the police for anything she wants. That's what he said. And that is what they allow as it pertains to the Hellman's crew. But black people, you can't be making bogus phone calls. You can't be calling about problems you're having. And if it's somebody that's your own neighbor, and as long as they haven't gotten violent, well, you just need to handle that yourself. Because remember, 911 is for emergency calls only if you're black. Isn't that something? Yes, the system is made for them. Absolutely, Miss Busy. Jawara says we'll have to protect ourselves. Absolutely. Tony Howard says we need a community police force with men and women willing to intercede in these community disputes. Well, it certainly looks that way. We have to have community policing because the police aren't there to help us. And often when they come, all they do is make matters so much worse. This is what they do because they come there with a negative attitude. They come there already hostile. And many of them are racist devils and demons, and they come there looking for somebody to kill. Joshua says, so I guess what they're trying to say is if they want us to self-govern ourselves unless violence comes up, and then they'll step in to create more violence. Absolutely. Selvin says two women called the police and they took them to jail. Yes, I remember that. This is absolutely what they do. Black people were set up from the jump. This was to stop police coming within the black community to ever call. Yes, absolutely. They're not here to help us, people. Thank you, Gina Spalding. Thank you so much for your contribution. You are greatly appreciated. And you're welcome. You are so welcome. Thank you. Peace and blessings to you. Let me tell you something. These people are never going to change. The whole system, the entire system, is set up to their benefits. Okay? This is how it is. Anything that they do, and they get away with it, if we do the same thing, we're ridiculed, criticized, and punished. While they can go out here and commit murder, George Zimmerman, while they can go out here and just vandalize and do all sorts of things during protests, start riots, light fires, and they'll try to blame it on black people. They'll blame us and have us on the news when they're showing these things having been done. They always want to show black people to make it seem as though we're the ones doing it. They demonize and vilify black people on a regular basis. This is absolutely what they do. They have no shame whatsoever. So ridiculous. Now, this article is titled, White Anti-Mask Protesters Jeered Black Pastor Seeking Tulsa Race Massacre Reparations. This was reported by the Washington Post. Let me tell you something. Of course they jeered. Because the last thing they want is for black people to get reparations. You heard the scam they tried to pull down there in Asheville, North Carolina, talking about their reparations wouldn't be in the form of a check or money. Their reparations for their people, they've all voted and agreed by 7-1 or 7-0 that they would be perfectly fine with investing in the black neighborhoods. Neighborhoods and land and homes that black people don't even own. How is that helping black people? A group of white anti-mask demonstrators jeered at a black pastor outside Tulsa City Hall this week as he demanded reparations for the 1921 race massacre. Let me tell you something. Didn't I say this just last week? I told you guys that every time we bring up reparations and we say cut the check, they want to always tell us that slavery ended 400 years ago. We should just forget about it. They never owned slaves. And I said, even if we don't talk about slavery, we just alleviate that from the discussion. They still owe us reparations for all of the race riots, the bombing of Black Wall Street, the race riots in Detroit, Chicago, the Sweet Auburn District of Atlanta, all of the lynchings that occurred during Jim Crow, all of the times the Klan bombed Black people's homes, the time when they bombed the church and killed the 4 little Black girls. They owe us reparations for those things alone. Even in 1985, when they bombed Move in Philadelphia, they owe us for that. We can name numerous things that they've done in the present and the past. So we don't have to go back as far as slavery. But the thing is, them talking about how long ago that was, and the fact that they claim they didn't own slaves, nor do they know any slaves who are alive today, that's all gaslighting and deflecting, which is what they're best at. This is what they're best at. Gaslighting and deflecting. Now, though they didn't own slaves, their ancestors did. Their ancestors stole this land, committed genocide, acted as savages, kidnapped people, brought them here, turned them into slaves, forced them to work centuries, providing them with free labor, so that they could gain their wealth, generational wealth, that they presently still live off of today. So with that all being said, they didn't have to own any slaves, did they? No, you don't. When your ancestors had a history of owning slaves and building their wealth off of their backs and blood, sweat, and tears, and then they can just pass it on down the line to you, why in the world would you have to, in fact, own a slave yourself? When you have all of the profits that came from the slave labor of the past. They make no sense. Now, the confrontation took place Wednesday as Reverend Robert Turner delivered his weekly message about the need for reparations for one of the worst episodes of racial violence in U.S. history. A group of white people protesting Tulsa's new mask ordinance swarmed him, pouring water on him and grabbed at his bullhorn. A video shows the group shouting, USA, 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 as Turner began his sermon explaining the 1921 Tulsa race massacre, which left as many as 300 Black people dead. That's another thing. It wasn't 300. They love to try to decrease the numbers. The number was closer to 3,000. And this is according to those who actually survived in the information they gave years ago. So it left as many as 300 Black people dead and leveled a 40 square block of area, the all-Black community of Greenwood. On Monday, Tulsa broke ground in its search for suspected mass graves from the century-old massacre. Turner, senior pastor of the historic Vernon AME Church in Greenwood, has come to City Hall each Wednesday for more than 2 years to protest the massacre and demand reparations for the survivors and the descendants. He says a racist mob of white people descended on Greenwood and dropped a bomb on Greenwood and killed Black people. He shouted this over his bullhorn. He said, and not one of those angry racist thugs was charged with the crime. Yes, they were thugs, and so are many of their descendants. He said, God sits high and looks low. As Turner continued his sermon, the group of white demonstrators mocked him, with one asking if he took credit cards and another warning that he was the sign of the beast. You know, this is so hilarious. These demons and devils from the Hellman's crew have the nerve to call a Black person a sign of the beast, when they in fact are the devil that the Bible speaks of. And Mel Gibson pretty much let that be known when he made the movie years ago, The Passion of the Christ, because did he not make the devil a white person? Did you all notice the subliminal? And they also labeled him as anti-Semitic too, by the way, when he said things about the Jews. They were also true. As the group jeered, Turner shouted, "You care more about a face mask than you do justice, than you do for people whose bodies are still in mass graves." One white man shouted, "My ancestors freed your people." Another shouted, "You are a bald-faced liar." One white man wearing a red hat screamed in Turner's right ear. Two women are seen in the video grabbing Turner's left arm. Tulsa Police Communications Officer Gene Pierce told the Post that the department has not determined whether a police report about the incident was filed. They know darn well no police report was filed. How could you not determine it? Either you filed a report or you didn't. They know they didn't file a police report because they uphold white non-supremacy on every turn. Tulsa Mayor G.T. Bynum, a Republican, denounced the attack on Turner. Space, Bynum said. Reverend Turner and I have had our differences of opinion, but I will always support his right to express that opinion. I encourage all crime victims to file a report with the Tulsa Police Department so they can follow up accordingly. Now, the anti-mask protesters followed a vote by the city council approving an ordinance requiring that face coverings be worn in public settings in Tulsa, where COVID-19 cases have spiked. The mask ordinance passed weeks after President Trump appeared in Tulsa at a campaign rally that drew more than 6,000 people to an indoor arena where few wore masks. Let me tell you something. Notice this. You see, Black people have to fight for justice when a Black person is murdered by a racist devil or by a race soldier while they were unarmed. Have to fight for justice. This is why our people protest, some of our people. But these racist devils of the Mayo Clinic, many of them, they only protest because things have been made inconvenient for them. Not because they've lost anything, not because their property's been damaged or stolen, not because someone was hurt or injured or lost their life, but merely because they are inconvenienced and because they are so entitled that they feel like the rules don't apply to them. And this all comes from years of conditioning, because for years, white non-supremacists have upheld this whole thing with them being entitled and not having to go by the rules. But so now that they have this pandemic going on, yes, plandemic, because clearly, in my opinion, it was planned. Event 201 proves that, as far as I'm concerned. That's my opinion. But for years, they have been allowed to get away with things, get slaps on the wrist, for causing all types of mayhem, for being pedophiles and raping children, for committing hate crimes on Black people. They've been allowed to get away with these things. So now, when you're trying to tell them to go by the policy, by the rules that everyone else has to go to, they don't want to hear that. So yes, they're going to complain and they're going to protest about wearing masks, and they're going to bring guns with ammo, and they're going to make threats because they're white non-supremacists, and you don't get to tell them what to do all of a sudden. This is how they feel. It's like having a bad teenager and you've let them run amok all of this time, and then suddenly one day you decide you've had enough and now you want to chastise them. They're not going to listen to you because you've never told them what to do or corrected them in the past. So why do you think you can correct them now? This is how the white devils think, the white non-supremacists. This is how they think. What's Devil's Punch Bowl? Lizzie Wizzy, you don't know about that? That's when they killed Black people by the masses and buried them in a mass grave. This is what they did. The wicked demons, the Hellman's crew. This is what they did, but they don't want to be labeled as savages like Nick Cannon called them. He called them exactly what they are, savages. Yes, they killed all of these hundreds of Black people, buried them in a mass grave. And until this day, that is like where you get the best peaches, because their bodies decomposing was fertile for the ground. So the ground is so fertile there. Yes, that's known as the Devil's Punch Bowl. Yes, they are still jealous, Sylvia. Absolutely. They're not hiding their hate anymore. Neither though am I. Absolutely. Kareem and old Silverfish Mars pulled out of some cabinet. The Northern armies of the Civil War. Here's the thing, though. Let me tell you something. One of those people, one of those members of the Mayo Clinic shouted out and said, "My ancestors fought to free yours." Let me tell you something. They really get on my nerves when they try to push that narrative as though they fought to save and to free these vilified Black people who've been enslaved. Thank you so much, Anthony Harrison, for your contribution. You are greatly appreciated. Peace and blessings to you. But they get on my last nerve trying to act like they fought, any of their ancestors fought solely to help Black people. Here's the thing. Why should you be rewarded or praised, even if you did? Why should you be rewarded and praised for trying to free the very people that your own people enslaved? How stupid does that sound? You know how stupid that sounds to me? That sounds like if me and two other people or me and a group of people break into one of your houses and come there and rob you and take everything that you have that we want, and we all leave. And then a couple of days later, I start feeling bad about it. And I say, you know what? I should take this back. And then I go and bring back to you what we actually stole in the first place, at least some of it. And I'm going to expect to be praised for that. Hey, I just saved you. I brought back all your stuff. That's how dumb that sounds, if not dumber. I love how they try to twist these narratives and act like they actually did things in our favor or best interest. During an interview inside the historic Vernon AME Church, Turner said he was not physically injured, but said someone in the group poured liquid on him. He says, I hope it was water, as he said, standing outside of the sanctuary where Black people sought refuge during the massacre. A lady grabbed my shoulder, he said, but as a Black man, I couldn't grab my arm back because if I did do that, it was going to be viewed as a threat. You know what? Stop right there. He said this woman grabbed his arm, but as a Black man, he couldn't grab his or snatch his arm away because that would have been viewed as a threat. I don't care what it would have been viewed in. You put your hands on me, I'm going to put mine on you. This is what's the problem with many Black people. They're afraid to fight these wicked demons and devils back, but yet you let a Black person step on their shoe and they will be ready to throw down. Now, this all comes from the fact that these devils, the members of the Mayo Clinic, the Hellman's crew, it comes from the fact that they have been given a God complex. Because this whole image of white Jesus that they have brainwashed many of our people with makes people view them as better than, because they see them as likened to God. Because they've made Black people think, many Black people still think, even in 2020, with all of this information out there, that God is white, that the Savior is white. So they don't want to put their hands on these people, but they will quickly do that to a Black person, fight a Black person, kill another Black person, because to them, Black lives don't even matter to some Black people. That's the same thing, the sad thing about it, because some Black people devalue themselves because they have been brainwashed. So they devalue themselves, so therefore they devalue anyone who looks like them. This is the sad thing. Rosin says, I would have knocked her out, saying Allah Akbar at the same time. Yeah, exactly. Allah Akbar at the same time. Absolutely. He should have knocked her out, or at least shoved her, right? Just give her a shove. Not me or my sisters. We bust on a white person quick. Mayo sandwich. Okay, KJ. The elite gets, I missed that one. The Bible have that pastor effed up because she puts her hands on me. I'm turning. This is also true, but this is why they have constantly, since slavery, tried to enforce upon Black people the idea of being docile. Do you know that when Black people, pay attention. Now, some Black people are not going to like this. You know, the Black Christians, I'm pretty sure are not going to like this. But I'm going to tell you the truth. When Black people get down on your knees to pray, when you get down on your knees to pray, do you know where that came from? That came from being viewed as submissive. That's how they used to make the slaves get down and put their hands up. They'd make the slaves get down on their knees and put their hands up to beg for forgiveness, to beg for their lives, to beg the owners. That's where that came from. Where in the Bible does it tell you get down on your hands and knees? Where does it tell you that? Christianity has a lot of black people totally confused, brainwashed, and suffering from cognitive dissonance, and that's just a fact. Telling them to love their enemies, love those who despitefully use and persecute you, turn the other cheek. Turn the other cheek. Yeah, that's what it says. But how many times in the Bible, if we're going to go by it, at least, can't you go by some of the other scripture where, in fact, God gave people the power to enact revenge? Didn't he give David the strength to slew Goliath? Did he tell David to, in fact, turn the other cheek? No, he didn't. He gave David the strength to kill him. Did he tell Samson to turn the other cheek? No. He gave him the strength to kill the Philistines. So I find it so funny that all of these Christians want to holler about turning the other cheek, loving your enemy. God didn't even love his own enemies. So why do you have to love yours? Oh, I'm sorry, because that's what the white folks taught you. I lost respect for Kareem. Yes, I absolutely did too. The Bible tells you stand up and pray with your hands in the air facing the east. I have a theology degree, and you're absolutely right. This is why I walked away from the church. Christy 7, this is why I walked away from the church as well. Okay, because I'm an ordained minister, and I started thinking about all of these contradictions in here, all of these false facts. And then the truth, most of it written in allegorical form so that you can't even figure it out. Clearly coded. And you have to sit there and decode it. But most black people have been taught to take everything in there literally. And this is what they do. And even when you tell them it doesn't make sense and it's hypocritical or contradictory, they'll tell you that you're taking it out of context. And then they'll call you a demon. But the truth is, the demons are the ones who gave them the false knowledge, who mixed the lies with the truth to confuse them, just like it says in the good old Bible. Bible Just Minds book and the word Bible has the lie in it. Yes, it does. Stop praying to your enemy's God. The Ku Klux Klan prays to the same God. Thank you, Deborah. Thank you. Yes. Absolutely. How can you, in good consciousness and in critical thinking skills and good common sense, pray to the God of your oppressors? How does that work? Now, you have to think about it like this, people. Just look at it like this for a second. Imagine, if you will, you're sitting at home and you're praying to Jesus, white Jesus, right? As you've been taught to do. And you're asking him to take you out from under oppression and to get the white man's, the Mayo Clinic's foot off of your neck. And you're asking him to save you, to come down and save you. Meanwhile, the racist devils, the Klansmen, we'll just use them. They're sitting at home praying for them to be able to keep their foot on your necks and help us slew these no good niggers. Help us get rid of them. God, give us the strength to keep them oppressed for the next 100 years. Whose prayer is going to get answered, people? How does that even make sense? Somebody's prayer is clearly not getting answered. You know what? If you ask me, white Jesus is answering the white non-supremacist prayers every day because they have done what they've always done and they've continued to do it and they get away with it. Nobody rode down here on a white horse and saved any of us. You have to save yourselves. You have to find the God within you, and your own spirituality has to be awakened. You can't keep just sitting here idly praying to their own God. How does that even make sense? You know what? I'm going to give you an example. On my own channel, I did a video maybe a couple of months ago about the white girl who called on Papa Legba, who is clearly a black deity. She called on Papa Legba to help her kill her black girlfriend. But you know what happened? She ended up dead. And the thing that I told people on that live, I said, how in the world did she expect that one of our gods would help her to kill one of us? So I'm going to say to those of you who pray to the white Jesus and who think God is white, who've been tricked and bamboozled and hoodwinked, how do you think that their God is going to help you be saved from them? Make that make sense. Clearly, it makes none. Clearly. Yes, people, and let me take this time to remind you that if you're looking to start your own Black business, please be sure you subscribe to flynubianbusiness.com. If you're trying to generate new revenue for yourself, an extra stream of income, have questions about finances, please make sure that you visit us at flynubianmoney.com. Don't forget that the first month is free. Also, make sure you text Queens to 31996 for occasional notifications, texts, and alerts, okay? And go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit the like and share button. Make sure that when you subscribe that you click the notification bell and click the word all. For those of you who are just tuning in, I'm Queen Amadaya Shakur, one of the contributors here at the Fly Nubian Queen Network, and this is your morning wake-up call. Forex says preach. Desiree says God is fire. Good ship Jesus. Yes, Ty, absolutely. Absolutely. The ship that came to get them and bring them to the divided snakes of America, then known as Turtle Island. Yes, it was called Jesus, the good ship Jesus. Okay? That's what it was. Dewey says, during the Civil War, authorities in Natchez, Mississippi, forced tens of thousands of freed slaves into camps built in what's known as the Devil's Punch Bowl of Natchez. Yes, absolutely. Where they massacred them and buried them in mass graves. Absolutely. That's what they did. I told you guys, that's why they have all those nice ripe peaches, because the ground was being fertilized by the bodies of our ancestors. But they want to talk about them being oppressed, the Jews. No, I'm sorry, the Orthodox community. So let me continue. Now, Turner said that he felt surrounded, Reverend Turner. He says, I saw a small glimpse of what it must have felt like on the slave auction block. As a Black man, people poking and prodding you. Turner said one man insulted him by throwing money at him. He says, I won't get any reparations from the race massacre. He says, I'm not from Tulsa. I'm from Alabama. It's not for me. It's for the people in this community they have seen so much damage and suffering. And then for people to call you boy and get out of here and call you a liar and then look you in your eyes and you just see how hateful they are. Yes, they're absolutely hateful people. Absolutely. These people have no remorse. And I find it so don't tell them that they weren't the ones over there in Germany who led their ancestors to those gas ovens. They don't tell them, oh, why don't you just forget about it? They don't, but they tell us that repeatedly. This is because they have no sympathy or empathy for anything that happened to our ancestors. And you know what? Pay attention. Anytime a Black person dies or is killed, these racist people, they make a mockery of it. After George Floyd was murdered, slaughtered by the police, there were numerous racist white people posting videos of them with their knees on the necks of mannequins. Some of them actually had their own friends. And they were posting these all over line, and they were laughing. They literally think it's funny. Now, you tell me that anyone that laughs at a person who was lynched, murdered, or whatever for no good reason, who thinks that's funny? Who thinks death is funny when someone is slaughtered for no good reason? Who thinks that it's funny? I'll tell you who. Racist devils who are savages and subhumans. That's who thinks that. They have no remorse for us, and that's why clearly they don't want us talking about it. They don't want us asking for reparations. They don't want us talking about their treacherous history where they committed all of these heinous atrocities upon our people. And when you do talk about it, they will quickly deflect away from the conversation by saying, you were never a slave, and my family, we never owned slaves. But yes, they thrive from the wealth that was generated by your and my ancestors. This is what they do. And I'm going to tell you how bad the brainwashing is, people. Listen to this. I just found this out just yesterday, in fact. In my hometown, there is still a slave market. Yes, it's true. It is in pristine condition. Now, my father told me that when he was a teenager, he and some of his friends tried to burn it down to the ground, to destroy it, of course. But they weren't able to because, you see, the good old racists had sprayed it with some type of chemical that doesn't allow it to burn. Yeah, they sprayed something on it to protect it if someone just tried to set it on fire. Now, I'm sure you could blow it up or whatever, and you could probably burn it down some type of way, but just to walk by and think you're going to just pour something on it and light it on fire, that's not going to happen. So they take such pride in this in the town. And by they, I mean the Hellman's crew. They take such pride in it. In fact, for years, they would still have the slave bell ring every Thursday at noon. I'm not making this up. Every Thursday at noon, all of the stores downtown would close. Okay? They would close. And they would have the slave bell ring at noon. Just like back in the day when they put the slaves on the auction block. This is what they would do. This is what they would do. They did this for years. They only stopped it like not even that long ago. Years ago, they stopped it. But just to let you know, they were still doing this well into the 90s. Well into the 90s. And so the thing that I find so sad that I just found out yesterday is that my cousin called me and said that the Black people were down there trying to get this slave market torn down. Or at least they could take it and remove it and put it in a museum or something. But guess what? Of course, the Mayo Clinic, they're not going to go for that, right? But the sad thing is, she said many of the older Black people, many of the older Black people, they don't want it to come down. In fact, they were arguing for it to be left alone and saying that that's a part of their history and they need to let it stand. A slave market? Let me tell you something. Whenever I go down there to visit and I have to walk downtown or I go drive through downtown, I always stop there to feel the spirit and the energy of my ancestors and to pray for them and to acknowledge them and to speak to them. I can literally feel their spirits crying out in anger. But these brainwashed Black people still want it to remain there right smack dab in the middle of town. It's all true. Ashe, my beautiful spiritual adept sister. Wonderful job teaching my sister. Thank you, Patrick. Thank you for your kind words. They love their slave memories. Yes, they absolutely do. Psalms 91 for your protection and have your family
It's one of them.
I couldn't read all of that. Sorry, this chat's going so fast. Listen, family, I'm going to go ahead and cut this live in this live, okay? But I would like to thank all of you wonderful, beautiful, melanated people for tuning in once again to the Fly Nubian Queen Network, the network for melanated women like you, and also to the melanated kings who decided to join us on today. I hope that you all have a blessed and beautiful day. I would like to remind you all to please go ahead and like this video, share this video, please give it a thumbs up. Also, go ahead and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Make sure you click the notification bell and click the word all. Don't forget to subscribe to flynubianbusiness.com and flynubianmoney.com if you're trying to open your own Black business or generate extra revenue for yourself. And the first month is absolutely free. Don't forget that you can download our podcast and watch us on iTunes by going to iTunes and typing in the search Fly Nubian
You probably get something locked up for tomorrow.
7. You cooking?
Okay.
Oh, snap.
So you're telling me you're a woman who's either 9 or 10 in the face, dress size 6, and your goal is 450,000, so almost $500,000 in 4 years. Which, yes, in the chat room, you can do that with insurance, definitely. Especially if you own an agency. Yeah, I know you can. I mean, I know you can, especially if you start selling financial products. Fair use. Can't get strike. Somebody's on your show. She is part of my content. It's fair use. I'm using to make commentary on a subject matter on which I actually have plenty of documentation with participants on my show. This was actually acquired from a video clip of this person's channel. She sought to be on my channel and would have been live last night. Anyway, I flashed that up just to show what 9-10 means to women versus me as a man. I'd say 6-7, kind of right around there in that, B. Simone. She's definitely not unattractive by any stretch of the imagination. However, as that show went on, what I heard was some of the same things I heard from another woman, the previous woman. My characteristics, my level, my this, my that, I'm this, I'm that, somewhat of my standards, my suitors, I'm not entertaining this and that. And if you don't know how that ended last night, well, let's go ahead. I just can't see. So I know, yes, obviously I know. Okay, you want to fill that in for me? Were you married early?
After I had my first son, his father and I broke up like after he was 6 months.
Okay.
And I met my ex-husband 6 months after that. We were together for 8 years. We were married 5 of those 8 years. Got divorced and hopped right back into a relationship and had another kid. And I realized
Right, so let me ask you. The first child's father, is he alive?
He is.
Second child's father alive?
He is.
Are either of those men high earners?
They make under 100K.
Notice the level of deflection that happens when you ask these Christian women this stuff. Are they high earners? They make under 100K. 20,000 is under 100K, and so is 999,000. Kevin, why are you saying Christian woman? How do you know this woman is a Christian? That's not fair. Well, let's go.
I would say
so they're not
high.
My life. So they're not high earners. They're not high earners. Okay.
No.
So you had a child out of wedlock, married, then another child out of wedlock.
I did.
All right. And your ultimate question is all this leveling up. Should you date while you're leveling up, or should you wait till you get to the level and then open the floodgates?
Right.
There's not going to be any floodgates. And that was her word. Should she wait till she level up, or should she date now and then wait till she's leveled up and open the floodgates? As if she can choose, because this woman kept on saying how she had all these suitors and all these men who wanted to marry her, and all these men and $500,000 men and all this other stuff. Turns out that none of it was what she was talking about. Go watch the last 30 minutes. Go watch last night's show. I guarantee you, the ending is epic. Now, what I found interesting is I want to play you guys something from. I need you guys to listen to something. Fair use. Fair use, fair use, fair use. What are we doing here? I don't want that to play just yet. You guys having a good time so far? Again, we're not dragging anybody. We're going to be polite, okay? Be polite, okay? Keep it polite. I don't need anybody to get rude. This is just for conversation because I have a position. I think a lot of black women Christians are feminists.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for tuning in to Danny Lubai, and it is I, Danny. And as promised, I want to come before you guys to follow up on Fantage's and her husband's video saying that women should submit to men. Now, of course, I disagree 100%. I believe that no man.
Now, her video was talking about how she was responding to Fantage's video. Remember, Fantasia made that all the stuff with the submission video? And the woman that I had on my show last night was talking about opening the floodgates, openly said that she thinks Fantasia was wrong about women submitting to men in marriage 100%. Cool. I want you guys to hear what she says, because I don't want to misrepresent it. So I need to play this in its entirety, and it's about 6 minutes long, so just listen.
Should rule over another man. Now, given we are born and raised and indoctrinated and institutionalized into this patriarchal society.
Don't put her name in the chat room.
We live in a society in which men rule everything. Men,
take her name out of the chat room.
And in this society, or type of social order, men also rule women. And I say indoctrinated because the majority of us are Christians or religious people. And in so many religious texts, it says, women are beneath the men and or a man is the head and all this craziness. So basically.
Now remember, all this craziness. Women are beneath the head, all this craziness. No. No, you're not a YouTuber. 2 videos posted on YouTube. That's the YouTuber. That's what it is.
I disagree because I think.
But you're more than welcome to when I have the call-in portion. You're more than welcome because I want your words because you put it out there. It's public video. But I'm not playing the video, I'm just playing the words because I don't want it to be misinterpreted. But I think it's a good bookend for the conversation that we had yesterday. Where was that? You should go watch that.
Women and men together equals balance. I don't believe that a woman is equal to a man, and I don't believe that a man is equal to a woman. I believe that they both have their place in each other's lives. I believe that the woman is, like myself, I'm a woman. I am the manifestation in the flesh of the divine feminine aspect of God. And he, my man, or the man, is the manifestation in the flesh of the divine masculine part of God. Right? So there's a balance there. You can't have one without the other. And they both balance each other out.
Wrong, man. You can't have one without the other. When Adam was created, he was created with woman and man together. See, what a lot of these new wave Christian feminists, they're convenient Christians. What you're going to notice is a lot of them will talk about God, Christianity, quote scripture, speak in, these spiritual terms, but then turn around and lace it with feminist doctrine. We're equals, balance. And there's nothing in the Bible about equality or balance. You can't have one without the other. The Bible would disagree. Please show me where it says that what you're saying is true. But unfortunately, so many of our women in church have begun to blend Christianity with feminist doctrine to become feminist Christians.
And I feel in that video, Fantasia's husband, and I don't know his name, but he says that basically because he prays to God and he seeks the face of God, that qualifies him to have her submit to him.
He didn't say that. God says that. Check your eggs. Check your Bible.
Again, I get it. I get it 100%. I get that our Bibles tell us that the man is the head. I get that little cliche about the woman being a neck and she turns the head wherever she wants it to go. I get all of that. But at the same time, you have to understand, we are raised in a patriarchal society.
Yes, you're raised in a patriarchal society. Yes, and let's go ahead and get into this. First off, notice how she keeps the passive-aggressive sneak this way. She talks about submissive femininity. I get the little cliche that it's this and it, just minimizing the divine feminine that you're supposed to be part of. But I want you guys to listen to what Edward Anderson, BGS, a lot of people start talking about the patriarchy and the matriarchal mindset. I need you guys to pay close attention to this part here. That's why I didn't want to use my words. I wanted her to say it in her own words as a black woman, Christian feminist.
The social order that's over our heads that governs us is one in which men over women, children, animals, everything, men. They are the rulers of this social order. Now there's
True. Men rule over the women, children that are rulers of social order. What she fails to include is they also are the ones who create, build, protect, and restore this thing. Women have never built an Amazonia. So this very patriarchy that so many of our black women throw their nose at, you're more than comfortable to sit, nest in it, and wave your finger at it.
also a matriarchal society or social order in which women are the head. And it's so funny and ironic because in every, I won't say every, but I would say maybe 90% of African American families, we all go to Big Mama's house to celebrate something, or the woman.
You go to Big Mama's house because why? Because Big Daddy's dead. Why do black men die earlier than any other men? But did Big Mama buy the house? Because my grandmother, my grandfather bought the house. See, Big Mama had Big Daddy, and Big Daddy bought the house. He just died 20 years before Big Mama. Like so many other black men who worked themselves into death so their wives could have it left, but all you see is Big Mama's house. Now, Big Mama talked about Big Daddy all the time. That's why his big picture was sitting up there. That's why you couldn't sit in his chair even after he was dead. That's why you couldn't sit at the head of the table even after he had passed.
Is the head of the household, meaning the whole family looked towards that great grand woman, that matriarch of the family. I think.
Lie. She was the only one left alive because the black men were dead from doing their damn job. You hear this twisting of history? That's why I wanted you guys to hear it from her words, because now it makes sense, all that stuff about on my level and this and that and da-da-da-da. Go back and listen to what she was saying, and it all starts to blend. I was like, oh, God works in mysterious ways.
That because we are indoctrinated and we are all conditioned in a way that we see men being powerful and being authority figures in our lives, I believe that also train our mind to think and feel like we need a man to rule over us, but we don't. I believe in
Catch that? We have been raised and indoctrinated and trained our mind to believe as though we need a man to rule over us, but we don't. Is that not feminism 101? Now, ma'am, you're raising 2 boys. When I asked, was that $500,000 man that you want to come in there to marry you, that you weren't going to give a kid, could he even whoop those children he got to pay for? You said no. When I asked, would those kids realize that the stepfather who has to pay for everything, like the baby daddies, he has to pay like he's a biological, but he has no biological rights to that child. Are those kids going to be able to figure it out? Yes. So you'll have a neutered male in your house and be raising a bunch of what? Men who look up to Big Mama?
100% acknowledging that in many areas the man can lead a woman, and
talk about a man's not superior to a woman. Nobody's superior. I mean, let me get ladies in on a secret. No amount of verbal voodoo is going to change the fact that men, you're the weaker vessel. Why do you black women, you black female Christian feminists struggle so much with this very Bible you say you believe in, this God you say you follow? All right. Equality. Now, you can stand firm in what you said. Everybody's entitled to be 100% foolish and wrong. Stand in your ignorance. Own your ignorance. But ain't gonna be no floodgates coming for you. That's why I hung up on you last night, because you a liar. A liar, a fake, and a fraud. All these $500,000 men who are suiting and I'm not entertaining them. And turns out that neither one of your BDs is on child support, and they both lower earning men, and dude you're dealing with ain't even making $5,000 a month. F out of here. Go listen to that show. Say thank you in advance for the comedy hour. I can't make this shit up. I know she'd be back tonight because she made such a good showing last night. And one thing I will say that some women, like the next woman, I think there's some of these women that can actually be talked off the ledge. Some are just too far gone. But what we're seeing is, outside of my personal editorial, my opinion, those are just mine. Feminism and Christianity are diametrically opposed doctrines. You cannot talk about ERA and
outside Green, jacks up a 3, and it's good on the assist by Parker. Green's got the opening field goal of the game for San Antonio. As you said, the Wizards did look more mature last year on the floor with their play. They made sure to add veterans to Chico. And not just any veteran, but a future Hall of Famer in Paul Pierce. I mean, his presence on the team, I think, really is what propelled them to achieve new heights. And it also went beyond just Paul Pierce. That roster had a combined 490 playoff games. And that playoff veteran leadership, I felt, really helped this young core to grow. And another skill that sets him apart is success rate on catch and shoot jumpers. It's not every player that has such a great feel for that particular shot. And the first one at the line is good. The thing about Bradley Beal, when he suits up, the entire lineup becomes exponentially more potent, quick, powerful athlete, great, high basketball IQ. Had the great teaching at Florida, carries it to the NBA. Opponents have to come from, I think, the openings before. That's a great point there. I mean, coming out of college, to reality, because that's that next level smoothness and body control that's often indicative of a true difference maker. More top with the block. First quarter just over the play. Ball kicks to the net, and that's going to be goaltended, guys. So that's a free basket right there. And you got your style points when it comes to throwing one down. But once in a while, Kevin, why don't you see more dunks like that from him? He certainly got the size for it. Yeah, I think it comes down to the fact he lacks a little dexterity and even creativity to be an elite finisher. I think Doris Burke has something for us right now. Doris?
Thank you, Kevin. Randy Whitman and I spoke just briefly.
OMG. It's hot as shit outside, my nigga. It's too hot outside. It's too hot. Too hot, too hot. Yes, a nigga about to play 2K, man.
I don't think you want to get rich. You don't really want it. You ain't really trying to get rich.
This really should be like right here. Next time I do that. So I'm sweating already. Shit already.
You ain't got what it takes to do it like me. Get your head up in the game or you can sightsee. Wait for a hand out, this ain't that right league. Spend so much time out here falling, it's my wifey. Things when I live, I breathe, I sleep, my dreams are lavish. Went from check to check to check to balance. I press, I bet you flop, you all theatric. I'm mostly savage, gambling, take advantage. I'm here to ball while you call off work. When the top jump back, what I call off work. Before I hit my context, check my call off first. See if I can make a play to get it all off merch. Let an animal loose. A separation off finesse, I'm just preparing to shoot. I can put you on some skates, breaking ankles and noodles, saying this is what they pay me to do. I don't think you're trying to get rich. You don't want it. You ain't really trying to get rich.
I'm Ernie Johnson. This is the NBA on 2K Sports. Glad to have you with us. Tonight, we'll be watching the Minnesota Timberwolves playing against the Los Angeles Lakers. And with the game about to get underway, let's go to Kevin and the 2K Sports crew on courtside.
God, I'm sweating bullets. I'm gonna lose like 5 pounds a day.
And moments ago, the national anthem and the mental preparation for the game ahead. We've got rabid Los Angeles fans packed inside the Staples Center. Seems like we've been here before. Yes, it is Groundhog Day. And we welcome you to this presentation of the NBA on 2K Sports. Along with Greg Anthony, Clark Kellogg, and our sideline reporter, Doris Berg. This is Kevin Harlan. Western Conference battles always fun. This time it's the Los Angeles Lakers intent on protecting home court. Quick check down starting lineup for both teams. You'll get to see Derrick Rose a lot of skill and talent he possesses.
Tell you what else I like. It's his attacking mindset too, Steve. No matter where he is on the court, when he gets possession, he will turn it up and turn it on and run out. Most of the time, he doesn't stop until he's laid the ball in the hoop.
So the Lakers win the tip. Wiggins against LeBron. Davis kicks to LeBron. Inside.
Oh my God.
Poke loose. Kevin Garnett with the steal. Garnett with the screen on McGee. Here's Rose. McGee with the block. LeBron outside. He passes to McGee. He dishes it to Brown.
Oh, that's fast. What?
They get it back. Comes up with it again.
What the
It's a
fuck,
quick foul
bro?
pick up here in the opening quarter.
Davis setting the pick for McGee. Davis the pass to Brandon. The basket drops and gets fouled on the shot. One free throw coming his way.
Oh, terrific good finishing a soft move like that. The finger roll.
Lakers shooting their first free throw of the game right now. Nikola Pekovic is checked in for time. Taking a look at Avery Bradley, his career's been kind of up and down. Great. Started out in high school where he developed into one of the nation's top prospects in high school.
You know, it's a great point. And as a college freshman, he established himself as one of the top defensive guards in the country, won numerous awards, and enters the draft after only 1 year. You know, with Avery Bradley, he was the 19th pick in the draft with the Celtics. The outlook for him was great, but then ball handling and shooting injury concerns flattened out his development. He had a hard time getting over the hump for a few years, but he's over it now.
And that one falls for Nikola Pekovic.
And, you know, getting back to Avery Bradley, he's been dynamite the past 2 years. He's finally found consistency with the mid-range jumper and plays a complete game of basketball with just a little more seasoning. I really feel like the sky's the limit.
Here's Caldwell. And that one's good. Caldwell Pope's got his first basket of the night. The Minnesota Timberwolves coming to this one after the win against the Trailblazers in Portland.
And how about the accuracy that was on display from three-point range in that game? They were lethal. Yeah, splashing those threes as they did really allowed them to continuously deflate that crowd and keep them at bay. Boy, that was a nice road win for them, no doubt.
And here's Rondo following Kevin Martin's three. Rose against Rondo. Pass to LeBron. It's good. Coming out the assist by Martin on the middle. LeBron got himself going right. His first points in the game. 11 point game.
But what stood out for me was his gorgeous playmaking effort. I mean, over and over, he was finding his teammates in a great position to score.
Now, here is Martin. 4-point game. Green with the block. Rondo against Wiggins. Rondo, no good.
That is some tough defense there against one of the better finishers in our game.
Wiggins with it. Now Green defending. 17-foot shot on the way. And he gets it to go.
It is so hard to contain him. He just seems to get it done however he has to do.
Now let's go over to Doris Burke. We'll let a chance to talk with head coach Byron Scott.
I asked him about the player he'll try to key on in this matchup, and he had no hesitation saying Kevin Garnett. He said what makes KG special and such a problem to deal with is he can control games on both ends of the floor with his offensive and defensive skill set, saying he has so much length, it makes it very difficult around both keys for us.
Thank you, Doris. For Los Angeles, they've gone 50% from the field, hitting 3 of 6 since the opening tip. LeBron kicks to run. Back to LeBron. And again, no good by the Lakers. Here's Martin. A 17-point game for him in the win against the Trailblazers in Portland.
And he also looked to attack at the defensive end of the floor. 3 steals in that game.
Whatever their plan was defensively that time, it didn't work. Not if it results in that shot.
LA's gone just 1 of 4 from 3-point range here in the first. Rondo against Rose. Here's McGee. And again, no good by the Lakers. This game for the Lakers was a loss to the Hornets.
And really, given how they performed offensively, guys, they just never had a chance.
Yeah, and you can see their frustration growing and growing as they continue to come up empty on their possessions by the end. They were just happy to watch the clock wind down and move on.
Here's LeBron, following the score by Derrick Rose. The drive by LeBron. Green. The feed now to Caldwell Pope. Lakers passing it around, and that one's good. LeBron's got 5. And so it's Minnesota with it. Last time they met was in Minnesota.
May have been the worst effort you'll see from them all season long. Even for a game they weren't supposed to win, it should not have been that bad.
Against a lesser team, that performance wouldn't have been good enough. But play that way against a good team, and you end up with an ugly result that they had.
Here's Martin. Following the basket by LeBron James. Martin with the bucket.
Great start for him. 4-4. He could be in before making.
It certainly looks that way to me, Mark. I mean, his energy level is ramped up. I think he's been terrific right from the opening tip.
So timeout called here. The first for Los Angeles.